Welcome to the City of Eureka Springs Boza and Planning Commission meeting. Today is Tuesday, December 10th. It's 6 o'clock and we are in the auditorium. We do have a public hearing tonight, and this is for a zoning variance application for 7 Kirk. We have the contractor, Penny Pemberton, who is here for the applicant. So, Penny, do you want to come up real quick so we can just get started with questions if we have any?
Yes.
This is for a building setback variance to build a new garage on the same footprint as the old garage.
Correct.
So do you want to give a brief, hey, this is why we decided it needs to come down, or?
The building has no true foundation.
Will you come just closer? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
The back of the building has been completely washed out. It has a wood floor, and if you've been to 7 Kirk, you can see the steep of the street right there. It's a little scary. So all of the water has taken away any dirt underneath the floor, and the back of the wall is held up by only 2 different locations on a 30-foot back wall. So Paul and I went to look at the situation. There's no way to salvage the building. There's no way to pick it up because everything is gone. It's all rotted, and there's nothing structural enough to lift the building, so it has to be taken down in order to be a functional building.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for her regarding that property?
So it's going to be in exactly the same place?
That's correct.
Okay,
There's nowhere else.
Yes. It has to be in the exact same footprint.
okay. So apparently there was no variance before.
Correct. It was built in the 30s. There is our best guess.
Anyone else have any questions?
No.
Nothing?
No.
Okay. All right, so if you guys are okay with it, we'll go ahead and end the public hearing for the zoning variance at 7 Kirk. Can somebody make a motion to end that?
I make a motion that we conclude the public hearing on 7 Kirk.
Second?
All right, we've got a motion and a second to go ahead and close the public hearing for 7 Kirk. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, so we've closed that. So we'll
Thank
come
you.
back to that under new business again.
Okay?
So, all right, let's go into the, let's see. Do you want to do,
Do roll call? Roll call?
yeah, let's do that in between because it's not on here, but I don't want to go in there yet. So let's go ahead and do roll call, Tom.
Ansley Lee,
Here.
Susan Harmon,
Here.
Ferguson Stewart,
Here.
Mike Welch,
Here.
David Budakali,
Here.
and I'm President Tom Buford, and we have Cassidy Dishman, the planning staff person, here also.
All right, let's stand to do the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we're going to move into the Board of Zoning Adjustment meeting. Can I get an approval of the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second?
All right, we've got an approval, we've got a motion and a second to approve the agenda as it is. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, do we have anyone who wants to do public comments based on 7 Kirk, 58 North Main, or 21 Bridge? Okay. Did you get the paper already?
Yeah, no one signed it.
Okay. All right, so let's go into, we obviously have no unfinished business. Let's go into new business, which is the zoning variance application at 7 Kirk. Pemberton is here as representing the applicant. This is for a building setback variance to build a new garage on the same footprint as the old garage. Obviously, we already did the public hearing. Does anybody have any additional questions for Penny?
Motion to discuss?
Second.
Don't have any discussion. I just thought we'd say it. Anybody have any questions?
Any discussion?
I have no discussion.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so, you guys ready? All right, so let's go ahead and vote on approving the zoning variance application at 7 Kirk.
I make a motion that we approve the zoning variation of the application at 7 Kirk.
Second.
All right, we've got a motion and a second to go ahead and approve the variance application at 7 Kirk. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, so that one was approved. So what we're going to do is we're going to fill out our paperwork at the end. So just get with Cassie. But I think you're done. Thanks, Penny.
Thank you, Penny.
Nobody.
All right, we've got a tree removal application. We actually have two tonight. The first one is going to be at 58 North Main, and this is for McGuire, who is the applicant. This is a removal of 19 trees to clear space for new commercial construction. Do you want to, oh, hey, how are you?
I'm doing
We've seen
good.
your face before. So go ahead and state your name and just give us a brief rundown of
Okay.
what you're trying to do with that property.
Okay, my name's TJ McGuire, and the property is the old Landacre Hotel site. I'm sure everyone's fairly familiar with it. It's got a lot of old stone, interesting stonework on the site. And unfortunately, a lot of the trees have encroached and grown into the old stonework. Our intent is to save, there's one retaining wall there that, stone, that we'd like to salvage and save, and that's shown in the plans there. The trees we're removing is for new construction, nightly lodging, and we're trying to salvage all the trees on the lower bench area there. There's a little over 50 trees on the site, and we're trying to salvage all but 19.
Does anyone have any questions for him regarding those trees on that property? Go ahead, Mike.
I just have one thing. It says you're removing the 19. Did I see somewhere that the owner's going to replant 19 more?
Yes.
Various locations
Yes,
throughout?
we have a replant on our cut permit there, and we'll be replacing every tree, and in fact, we show where we're replacing them on the plans.
Okay.
Anyone else have any questions?
Question.
Tom?
On the replant, are you familiar with the tree ordinance about how you do the replant, about the number of trees you have to replace?
Yes,
Okay,
we're short one, Tom.
well, if you're taking down trees 8 to 12 inch, you got to put one back. If you're taking trees down 12 to 24, you got to put two back. And then if you look at that formula there in the tree ordinance about how many trees you would have to put back,
Yes.
how many would that be?
Well, I couldn't tell you exactly. I guess what we'd ask is, given the site, that the constraints on the site and our parking, we propose some parking on that site, which is not required, but we're proposing 7 spaces. We'd like a little leeway on that. And
Well,
also in our work there, it's well explained in our document there, when we start the stone removal and stone salvage, there's a good chance we will end up with another tree, possibly 2, damaged. And the trees are, unfortunately, they're really in the middle of a lot of the old stonework. So, we'll replace it. And if you say we need to go strictly by the ordinance, we will. But it's, we're being pretty generous with what we're doing, and a lot of the trees are pretty damaged.
So based on, I've looked at the trees. There are some that are probably 24 inches, right?
Oh, yeah, right.
So do you, based on going out there and seeing it, do you have a suggestion as to how many you think he should be replacing with?
Well, it's not they need to go out and look at the ordinance and then have a plan present to us on the tree cut of how many trees they're cutting down need to be replaced, if they will replace trees based on the ordinance.
Our tree permit request there, the cut permit shows on the top left there a chart on the replacement, and our site plan shows where we're replacing them.
Right, but you said you're going to take 19 down and replace
Yes.
19.
Yes,
Right, so what he's saying is some of those trees, because of their size, actually require more than one tree to replace it,
yes, I understand.
right?
I think there's only 2 trees that require more than one tree.
Well, look, your site plan it's on letter-sized paper, which I can't count how many trees you're taking down, and I can't tell what trees you're putting back. Just looking at that.
Okay,
So,
well, I have a larger one.
I mean, can you come in with a plan showing exactly which trees are going to be replanted and where they're going to be replanted?
That plan does show it.
I cannot read the dimension of these trees on this plan.
The dimension?
Yes. The trees have to have the dimension on the trees.
Well, here's a chart that shows what we're removing, has a caliper on every tree we're removing. It shows what we're replacing. Here's a legend that shows you, if you look at this, we show exactly where we're putting the new trees.
Okay.
We show all the old trees we're removing. Every tree here is numbered per this chart.
Okay, I was looking at this chart right here, which I couldn't tell from this chart right here.
I understand. It's
So
so
that's,
small to
that's
do
what,
that.
okay,
No question.
okay, yeah.
This
no.
is the same drawing.
I understand that, but I didn't have this drawing when I was asking my questions.
Oh, okay.
That's why I was going by this drawing right here.
All right, so,
Looking at this drawing, I like this drawing. So, because I can read it, yes, okay.
And that would be part of the permit.
Correct, yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Just a question, not to complicate this any further, but just curious to know, does the ordinance, Cassie or anyone else, delineate between the replacement for a dead tree versus a live tree? Because he indicates in the Paul Southern's report that
There's
some
no
of the trees are
requirement
dead.
no requirements for the dead tree replacement.
Right, so the ordinance is specific about that?
Yes.
Yes, it
Okay.
is, yeah.
Okay.
does Tom, did that satisfy your?
Yeah.
Okay. Does anyone else have any other questions for him?
No?
Okay, so this is, let's go to, if you guys are okay with not asking any more questions, let's go ahead and make a motion on this tree application.
I make a motion that we approve the tree removal application at 58 North Main.
Second?
All right, we've got a motion and a second for the tree removal application of 19 trees at 58 North Main. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, so you're good. So again, just like before, we'll fill out everything, and then you'll need to get back with Cassie.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we've got number 3, tree removal, another application for 21 Bridge. Do we have anyone here representing that property? All right, this was for Morris. This is a removal of 2 wild hackberry trees leaning towards the street. So you guys need to make a decision as to whether or not you want to hear this tonight, because no one is here.
Motion to discuss?
Second.
Yep. Go ahead.
I drove by there and looked at the trees, and they are a risk, danger. There's a wall there, a retaining wall that goes down, drops about 8 or 10 feet onto their little deck area, and those trees are abutted right up against that wall. And they are leaning over, and that is kind of risk there, but over to the house and to the street. But the really serious concern, I would say, would be that retaining wall collapsing and falling down, and there could be people down there because it's an area, it looks like where kids play and stuff. And I just think the trees are, there's moss and there's everything growing over. It looks like the trees are dying anyway, but never mind. I think it's a good idea to do this, but I saw them personally, and it looks like they are a hazard.
Does anybody else have any thoughts? Cassie, they are told to attend, correct? Do you know?
I usually try to tell people that they are encouraged to attend, but of course, it's not required that they attend.
Okay, all right. I didn't know if we were saying they had to be here or how we were communicating with them.
I've not been told that they have to attend.
Okay.
So
All right.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the tree removal application for 21 Bridge of 2 wild hackberry trees leaning toward the street.
I second that.
All right, we've got a motion and a second for the tree removal application at 21 Bridge for the removal of 2 wild hackberry trees leaning towards the street. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, so that one's gone through. All right,
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
motion and a second to adjourn Board of Zoning Adjustment meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, our meeting is adjourned for Board of Zoning. Let's move into the Planning Commission meeting. Can I get an approval of the agenda, please?
Motion to approve the agenda?
Second?
All right, Motion and a second to approve the agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, let's go into, we still don't have any anybody who wants to speak on any of the items that are listed for Planning Commission? Anybody else? All right, so we have no public comments. We've got unfinished business, which is the show cause hearing at 7 Kings Highway. So if you want to come up, just state your name, your address.
Rob Strauss, 7 Kings Highway, Red Bud Manor.
All right, so this was I want to say like a postponement of the original show cause because they were doing work. You want to just kind of brief us on what you were doing and where you're at?
I think the initial show cause came in around October. I was in the middle of a significant renovation through our kitchen and bath, and that renovation is now complete. After many months of work, Paul came through and issued another certificate of occupancy.
All right, so that was the main thing, which was they were going through the renovations. They did need to get a new certificate of occupancy because of that. So it sounds like they have met all of the requirements based on that initial inquiry.
Yep.
I make a motion that 7 Kings Highway retain their legal nonconforming status.
Second.
All right, so we've got a motion and a second that shows that during this meeting, we reaffirmed their LNC
Correct.
status, which means nothing changes. It means that you can continue to operate that way, I guess, into forever if you want. But as of right now, nothing changes on that LNC that you had originally when you purchased the property.
Okay,
So
thank you.
let's go ahead and vote on that. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Do you have any other questions or thoughts? Just let him finish quick.
Not till after the vote. Oh, I'm sorry, vote complete.
Our vote's done.
One more comment, Susan.
Yeah.
I'd just like the meeting minutes to reflect that it was never in violation of the continuous use provision, okay? I'm fine with the course of action. It was cool, right? I had a lot of renovations going on. It's fine with Paul coming in and reissuing another certificate of occupancy. That's all good. We had paid into the CAPC because we had people there over the summer, and I hadn't even owned the property for 180 days when I got the violation. So, but anyway, I just want the record to reflect that because I would hate for something to happen in the future, which clearly it won't. But if it ever does, I didn't want it to be a repeat offense because I was never out of compliance with the original one. Okay?
We appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Did you have a
I have
question?
one more question. Did you, have you received or do you need to receive a certificate of occupancy before you open that up for
He's got
commercial?
it.
I've got it.
Got it?
I don't know if you need to see a copy of it. I've also got another letter from Paul just saying everything else is good.
Thank you.
Cassie, did you get a copy of it for the file?
I have a copy of Paul's letter.
Okay, can you make sure that you get a copy of the certificate of, okay, certificate of
Thank you.
occupancy? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, under new business, we have 2 show cause hearings. One is 6 Douglas. So if we could have the owner come up from 6 Douglas. And then just state your name and your resident address, please.
Yeah, I'm Mary House, and
You'll have to go closer to the speak.
sorry.
You can pull it down towards you, too. There you
I'm
go.
Mary House, and I own and live at 6 Douglas Street.
Okay, so this was a postponement of a show cause hearing that happened in, was it September?
It was
We
November.
didn't have one for her because.
We postponed it,
We
though.
postponed it.
But was it September we postponed from?
Is November.
Yeah, November.
Oh, it's from the November one, okay. I'm getting confused at how many we had out there. All right, so, Ann, since you kind of have gone over these properties, do you want to ask any questions?
So Mary, you're a bed and breakfast.
Yes, ma'am.
You don't advertise as a bed and breakfast.
I do. I do advertise that I'm a bed and breakfast.
Where do you advertise that?
Yeah, I've got some examples here. I've highlighted if you want them. But my Google listing shows it. On, of course, the Eureka Springs website lists me as a bed and breakfast. My Airbnb has it in the description. I have all that here. I
So
highlighted
you're
it.
doing that now?
Yeah,
Okay.
And you do live on site?
yes.
Okay.
Does anyone else have any questions for Mary regarding 6 Douglas?
I just have a question for the commissioner. Was there a municipal ordinance or code which led to your potential violation that led to your question about the advertising?
They're a bed and breakfast, and they have to serve breakfast, and they're supposed to advertise that they serve breakfast. And we were monitoring it, they were not. And that's why they were called in for show cause.
So they were show cause because they weren't advertising bed and
Or,
breakfast?
yeah, or that they weren't serving breakfast
Okay.
also.
Cassie-
If they don't do that, then they basically are becoming tourist lodgings, and that's not what her CUP is for.
No, I do understand all that.
Okay.
What I'm just wanting to bring to the commission's attention is, I guess in a memo dated November 19th from Cassie Dishman, that she'd concluded that there is no ordinance that states that they have to advertise as a bed and breakfast. Did I misread that?
Last night, the city council passed it. It actually doesn't go into effect for 90 days.
They passed last night. I should have watched.
It is unfortunate. It's unfortunate that we actually had to put that in writing. But it sounds like you are in compliance, and we appreciate that.
Thank you.
Does anyone, do you want to go ahead and just vote that we've shown that she's in compliance, just like we did with 7 Kings Highway?
Yeah, I make a motion that property at 6 Douglas may maintain their conditional use permit as a bed and breakfast.
Second?
All right, we've got a motion and a second to go ahead and reaffirm that 6 Douglas is maintaining their CUP as a bed and breakfast. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, so you're good. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
All right, 19 Thomas. Mr. Henke. Probably the same questions.
Same question, same
And?
answers. Damon Hinkie here from 19 Thomas Drive. I named my establishment Relax at 19. It's 3 upper rooms with exterior entries and bathrooms in my home where I reside on 19 Thomas Drive. I brought some nice pictures for you here. They're actually kind of faded pictures. A little kitchenette in the closet, has breakfast up here, granola bars, oatmeal, coffee station. They're able to fix whatever they would like when they stay. I don't know. I use a management company called Hosted Journey. Many of you know I was a management company for years, but Hosted Journey takes care of all my advertising. If you wanted to say bed and breakfast, I mean, it's on Airbnb, which stands for bed and breakfast, but
It actually stands for bed and bath.
bath.
That's how it all started.
All right, so
Yeah.
I do have baths too, but we can have it say bed and breakfast in there. I don't mind saying granola and oatmeal is what your breakfast is, because I think that's important for the visitors to receive what it is that they actually want. Question? No, I think
We appreciate your cooperation.
no problem. And I own the Douglas Inn, and we've been over this before, years before, so.
I think you've been here before.
Yeah, we've gone down this road. And to answer David's question, technically, I don't think the ordinance is in effect yet, so the show of,
I believe it takes 90 days.
yeah, so your show of cause we didn't have to advertise as bed and breakfast because the ordinance doesn't technically say that you need to advertise as bed and breakfast. In fact, it doesn't even say breakfast. It technically says meals. The only thing in the ordinance is by title, bed and breakfast. And the only reason that we go down this path is because there's no other way in a residential area to have a conditional use permit other than bed and breakfast titled that way as being permitted. So that is not what our visitor, I'm going to go off into a little bit of planning. And the plan would be, what is our visitor looking for in Eureka Springs? Most of them aren't looking for your traditional bed and breakfast that has a social aspect at a communal table where you have a hot breakfast. If they're looking for that, everybody is all in on calling it a bed and breakfast. There's a ton of people coming on Airbnb. It is important that that owner live in that house. I'll go down that road all day long. We need to take care of our neighborhoods, make sure that the owner is the one living in the house. But when we get into the granola bar police, it gets a little sketchy. And even more so, it doesn't make any sense for the type of visitor that we have coming to town. I would like there to be another owner-occupied lodging title that could be used in a residential zone that only applies if we're going to get rid of bed and breakfast or owner-occupied lodging going forward. It's just the bed and breakfast that could be grandfathered in to this new owner-occupied lodging title, as I'll sell my house eventually. Somebody won't want to run a B&B there, and it can go away, and eventually we'll be done with all the owner-occupied lodgings if that's where we want to head as a planning commission and as a city. But this weird forcing everybody to advertise as a bed and breakfast and show a picture of a breakfast and say that they should or shouldn't have a hot breakfast has roots.
We're not dictating what anybody serves for breakfast. We're going to leave that up to you and the consumer.
Sure.
But you are a bed and breakfast. That's what your CUP is for.
As though my only option, right?
That's your only option.
I'm forced to
And
call
again, we
myself
appreciate
that.
your cooperation.
Yeah. The last part I was going to say there is the hot bed and breakfast goes back to an era when we had bed and breakfasts that served hot breakfast and looked at this as a competitive situation.
Some still do.
And didn't want the title, correct, as a blanket bed and breakfast because it was confusing to the visitor. I'm all about that too. It would be nice for a visitor to actually expect a hot bed and breakfast, a hot breakfast at a bed and breakfast. That's why I don't really care to advertise mine that way, but it's what I'm niched into. I have to do it, and I will let them know that they're getting an oatmeal and a granola bar. Thanks for listening.
Mike, do you have a question for her?
Well, it's not so much of a question, it's more of a contradiction to your argument. When Eureka Springs is, especially in the Victorian residential areas, we're promoting a Victorian-style experience here in Eureka Springs. And most of the bed and breakfasts I've seen in that area of R1 and R2, the style of the building itself has to conform with a Victorian style of structure. And then when you see the interior workings as Victorian style, you're giving a visitor a unique niche for coming to Eureka Springs as a Victorian style experience and resort. When you've got a Victorian style building and a Victorian style neighborhood that's regulated and oversaw by the Historic Commission, and you have a Victorian style atmosphere inside, but then you got a granola bar as a breakfast, that is not what we're saying was a traditional Victorian style experience. You're going for the whole experience. You're not just going for a Victorian house, Victorian bedroom, a Victorian style, and then a cheeseburger. There is a style and a atmosphere and a history we were trying to enforce as far as what we're doing here in Eureka to make it a unique experience. And when you take away one of those three ingredients, the house, the Victorian style, the Victorian atmosphere, Victorian style bed and breakfast traditionally, and when you take away one of those away, be it the breakfast, the house, the way it looks, you're not really encompassing what Eureka Springs Victorian experience is promoting. So I understand with you and I agree with a lot of your points, but in my personal opinion, when I came to Eureka Springs, I see the Victorian style. If I checked into a Victorian style bed and breakfast with the atmosphere, the style, and the uniqueness, and then I went down for breakfast and there was a granola bar, I would be disappointed and I wouldn't come back. And that's the consumer's option. But I just think that certain areas of Eureka's uniqueness need to retain back the Victorian atmosphere if that's what we're going to promote. And to take away one of those things I just think I'm not trying to say I'm too old-fashioned, or, there's a progress. I understand people are on the go, so that was my point. I'm just saying that.
Obviously, we're never all going to agree on the same
Well,
thing.
no, he's
so.
agreeing. He's making my point exactly, whereas if there was a Victorian bed and breakfast permit, I'm in a 1978 ranch-style home at the end of the
I understand yours.
1980s. It doesn't make any sense to advertise as a Victorian, and if that was my only option, then that would be a detriment to the customer.
I'm not trying to correct your thing. I'm just.
No, I'm with you. No, well, I think we're all going there. If there was a way to validate the fact that a bed and breakfast permit actually had certain standards so that our visitor, when advertised as a bed and breakfast, had certain expectations, that would be a giant advantage. If we had owner-occupied lodging as a separate option, people would understand that, hey, you're probably going to get a granola bar and maybe a bowl of oatmeal if you're lucky.
Yeah.
I appreciate you, thank you.
I appreciate the time.
Okay, so just FYI,
I make a motion.
sorry, we hadn't gotten to that part. But just FYI also, when this new ordinance goes into effect or prior to it going into effect, I think Cassie said she's going to send out just the new ordinance so everybody knows exactly what's, what the guidelines are, I guess, as far as following it. So just, that will be coming.
As part of that, I guess, so you preemptively, there's going to be options, like Airbnb, you're going to be able to pick bed and breakfast as the type of listing, but you're also going to be able to list that in your description. Are you just saying that it can be anywhere in the description, or what, are you going to get picky about where it is, or what, how does that work?
Relax at 19 bed and breakfast.
I mean, but I'm saying legally, are we going to put that in the title? Is that what you're saying? But there's a category box there to select as bed and breakfast.
I think that's probably a discussion for maybe just so we get clarification
Sure.
at our next meeting. And maybe we can get the city attorney to give us an opinion on that.
In general guidance
Because we've
for the
got
operators
30,
will
or
help.
we've got 90 days to go ahead and make sure that, I mean, I don't want to keep stretching this out tonight, but
Sure.
if that is that's a valid question. So if we could, I'll make sure it's on our agenda just to at least address it and make sure that we're clear, that everybody understands. But just as an FYI, it will be going out to everyone so that they know that have those CUPs, what is expected. So anyway, okay, so let's go back. We've got a motion and we've got a second.
I want to make a motion
Okay.
at 19 Thomas that they maintain their CUP status.
Second?
All right, we've got a motion and a second that 19 Thomas retains their CUP for their B&B there. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, so you're good. Thank you, Damon.
Thank you.
All right, new commercial construction. Mr. Moyer, this is 75 Prospect. This is construction of commercial kitchen addition. So can you just state your name and I know we've got the plans and everything, but can you just explain why you're doing it, why you had to do it, whatever, briefly.
Sounds good. Jack Moyer, Crescent Hotel. The Crescent Kitchen will undergo a significant renovation this winter. We will be pulling the whole thing apart, upgrading the hood vents to compliance and adding HVAC. So with that spatial challenged kitchen already to today's modern convenience, it required a little bit more square footage to handle the dry goods. We're putting an employee bathroom in also. So little things like modern day conveniences weren't planned.
When you
in
can do it, do it.
1886. So, but yeah, it's going to be a pretty big event. Be close to $500,000 in spend, and that's the plan. But necessary demand requires a little bit better planning, and we'll bring HVAC and airflow and things that to code.
I have a couple questions real quick for you. When do you plan on it being completed, or what is your expected timeline?
When do I plan on having completed?
Well, I know you want it today, or yesterday.
We're going to move quick, and we're shooting for middle of March for completion.
Middle of March, okay. And then you.
Now, this building, there's two different
Right.
projects here. This is a small addition that's consistent with like the fourth floor. It'll be concrete on the front, concrete siding. The windows are faux windows that will be match the annex building. So it'll sit right on top of that laundry roof.
And then Paul's been.
Yep.
You're happy with Paul?
Paul Sutherland.
Uh-huh.
Marginal, but no.
Okay.
Love Paul and appreciate where he's going with things.
Okay, anyone-
Hopefully he's watching tonight. He's not, obviously.
Anyone have any questions for Jack?
I've got one.
Yeah.
Jack, I know you're registered as a National Historic Site at the Crescent.
That's correct, yes.
Is anything that might affect that with this work?
No, in fact, we went to HTC earlier, was that this week or last week? Last week. But we run those traps, obviously, and Cassie helped us, and we've talked on this project. So Cassie probably should answer that, but it is my opinion that we're good there.
Yeah, I spoke to the state on whether this would affect the National Register status, and they said it would not. So.
Good, thank you. That's what I had. That's it.
We'll actually improve the facade of that garage, which was an addition that actually, here's your history lesson for the day. When Park Hill, when Baker brought his limo there, the garage was not large enough. So that extension of the garage was to cover
The limo?
Norman Baker's limo. So there you go.
Okay.
Anyone else have any questions for Jack? Okay.
I make a motion that we approve the new commercial construction at 75 Prospect.
Second.
All right, you've got a motion and a second to go ahead and approve the new commercial construction at 75 Prospect. This is construction of commercial kitchen addition. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jack.
All right, Mr. McGuire, new commercial construction. This is a application for construction of 7 nightly rental units at 58 North Main. This is the same property where the tree discussion originated. So anyone have any questions? You want to kind of give us a brief on
Sure.
what they're going to look like? And
We presented elevations, exterior elevations in your package there. They're small structures spread out across the site, and we placed them to save as many trees as we could, plus the stone features that are on the site existing. We'd like to save the entry feature down on Main Street, which is kind of important to us, to the owner. And then we'd like to save the southern stone wall that's about 80 foot long. And so the structures are placed to do that. We're proposing some parking up on the higher street, which is Montgomery Street. Not much of a street. It's a dead-end street, so it's kind of a problem in terms of access, but we'll be improving that with a couple of spots that could turn around. So that's sort of the gist of it.
does
And,
anyone have any questions about parking?
Just
Go ahead, Mark.
Okay, go ahead, Mike.
question about parking is, I went out there a couple of days ago and saw it's a very ambitious project. Good
Yes.
luck with that. But anyway, the top side, we're on the elevation points that faces Montgomery Street. You're going to have that amount of traffic coming in and out of there. That road is gravel now, and it's kind of poorly maintained. Are you having any plans to have that resurfaced to?
We would not have any plans. In fact, what our plans, if you've looked at that, Mike, on Montgomery Street there, that's a very small right-of-way up there, 20 foot. And, we'll be pulling off and getting all our parking off of that street. Right now, it's kind of a free-for-all up there. And if you went up there, you probably saw people parked along the street. We would hope to improve that. And in terms of our construction work up there, we would just naturally improve some of it and re-gravel it, but we would not surface it, or we'd be all in if the city wanted to do something up there, but it would surprise me because it's been that way and been used that way for, 100+ years, so.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyone else have any questions about this particular property?
I do. Go
ahead, Mike.
Are we done with parking questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
I have two more questions for you. Sidewalks. I see, and we show back on sidewalk section of 90810, it said that even though there is, the best interest of Eureka Springs is to have sidewalks on both sides of the street. I know that on Main Street, on the opposite side, there is sidewalks there. But we're really trying, especially for pedestrian traffic coming from those parking zones north of town. Are you having any plans to put sidewalks along that side there and also at Montgomery?
There's not any of this property, Mike, that's not elevated.
Okay.
This property is 8 to 12 foot above the Main Street. The right-of-way, the city right-of-way comes right to that rock ledge that
Okay.
runs along
Yeah.
there, which is shown on our topo there. It would be a pretty impossible feat to put sidewalks.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Did you have another question?
No, that was
That
it.
was it? Anyone else have any questions for Mr. McGuire regarding this
Yeah,
application?
I've got one thing.
ahead.
City utilities, Simon and all signed off on everything?
Well, the utilities are there on site.
Okay, so-
Sewers in Main Street. It's a pretty short, in fact, there's still water taps on this site from whatever happened 50 years ago.
Right.
And there are some sewer tie-ins there, but we don't have them located yet. But the main's in Main Street, sewer main.
Okay, okay. So, all right, that's all I had.
I just have one question.
Yes.
Which is almost exactly what I asked Jack. When do you think, I mean, you're planning on clearing the lot, you're planning on building these units. What is your timeline?
Well, HDC next.
Oh, so you haven't even gone to HDC yet?
No,
Okay.
we wanted to know our planning configuration prior to HDC. So HDC will be in the next 30 days. We'll
Okay.
put our app in. And from there, the owner's financing, and we don't have the working drawings completed, so I wouldn't anticipate this to start. Holloway's the contractor on this project, so he's been in the loop for costing and all of that. We've coordinated a little bit with the building inspector on this, but I wouldn't see a startup on this until probably sometime in March, late March. So you're looking at somewhere in October of next year before completion.
Okay, I just have a question for Cassie. When we approve these, how long do those permits, aren't they only for a year?
This
Do
is
they-
good for 1 year. Excuse me.
Yeah, that's what I believe, yeah.
That's a
Okay.
start date.
Right.
One-
No, I know. I just wanted to make sure I understood that correctly, because I thought they were like a year, so. Okay. Anyone want to make a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the application for new commercial construction at 58 North Main Street, Mr. McGuire, for the construction of 7 nightly rental units.
Second?
All right, you've got a motion and a second for this application at 58 North Main. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so you're good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Susan, just for the record, these guys actually bought this property and sort of started this about 3 years ago. And then various things happened, COVID things, et cetera, and so they kind of put it on hold. So we just kicked it back off about 2 months ago, 3 months ago. So
Yeah, I know it's always a long process, so
Yep.
that's.
hopefully it'll move forward faster now.
If I can say one thing, any improvement to that area would be great. I mean, it's just.
I agree,
it's
Mike.
right
Just
in the
don't
main-
do it during when there's an ice storm.
Yeah, I hear you.
Thank you. All right, number 4 on our list is a planned unit development. This is at 109 Huntsville. Horn is the applicant. This is a change of use, which was originally the land of Nod, and this says it's going to be changing from hotel to housing, but I think there is a hotel aspect to it, so, based on that application, so.
I move that we delay this until we can do a site visit. It's a very expansive project, and I would like to be able to go out there. I've been by it and been to the parking lot 2 or 3 times, but there is a lot of questions I have, and I would really like, because that's an ambitious project. It's right there on the corner where the school comes from, the kids are walking to and from school, and where the new proposed, what I call circle of death, the thing they're gonna
Roundabout.
install. And there's a lot of factors involved that I would really like to go and see it and talk about it and have us walk around, because it is really an ambitious project. I think it's
Okay.
gonna-
Given what Michael said also, the roundabout is going to be starting in September at 23 North and 62, and that will affect any project going on
So
here.
anyway, I'd like to.
Did you make a motion?
I move that we delay this decision until we can have an on-site visit.
Does anyone?
Do we have a discussion, even though we,
Yeah, we
Yeah, does anyone want to go ahead and second that?
Second?
All right, so let's go ahead and have discussion.
motion, it's.
Discuss.
Okay.
Yeah, motion to discuss, yeah.
Second?
All those in favor of discussing signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, so can we at least hear from the applicant?
Sure.
Just real quick, just kind of a brief of what you're planning on doing. And I know we've got the units and all of that here, but just, what are your thoughts on?
Okay, our intention was not to change the usage, to keep the zoning that it has, but to change it to the PUD. so that our lot sizes for every single unit, we wouldn't have to come in for a variance. Because we think that it's important that people have their own yard. And in order for us, the way this lays on the site, in order for us to create a yard for every single single-family unit, then we would have to get a variance because of the sizes.
Okay.
Real quick, would you please state your name?
Sonia Horn.
Thank you.
Cassie or any commission member, do we know of any precedent at this?
We've got, we've not had a PUD that's already built before. This one, in fact.
Portions of it are built.
Yeah. This, we've had two before, and they were on undeveloped land, and this is kind of unusual. I guess obviously parts there and parts to be built.
Yeah.
What we're trying to do is to create a community that is affordable for people even in the service industry, but also have respect for them and give them space that they would be happy in. And so this is based upon the plans of building a community where people interact with each other. We're creating areas where they will meet each other because they're going to come to the mailboxes. We're going to have an area of commingling. We have gardens planned and raised beds and a gardener that will be on site. So this is what we're trying to do, is to create community. And I have been coordinating what's going on with the highway. And that's something that we're working out.
Tom?
Question on your additional information for your PUD. You show item number 1, survey shows existing buildings, provided site plan shows proposed lot divide. Are you doing the entire property there, or is it, looking at the survey that's attached here, there is a line that says property line in the middle of the property. Are you doing the entire property or just
Yes.
part of it?
Yes, the entire property.
Oh, okay.
It's 2.28 acres.
Okay.
One more question.
Go ahead, Mike.
On your application, this is just briefly before we talk about the site visit. On your application for number 4, it says the location of sidewalks with dimensions and surfacing. I didn't see anything in your plans for sidewalks because, I mean, my importance, we're trying to promote those within Eureka Springs, and we are with best interest to install these sidewalks, and especially on that corner because that's where the kids, you're coming from the kids there, and I was hoping.
I'm very aware
that's-
of that.
And the traffic's pretty intense there on 62.
Oh, I know. I know. And that's why I'm working very closely with the highway department.
So my
for
question,
crossing over.
I apologize.
Anyway,
Are you
have
done?
let me just follow up.
Our sidewalks are shown on the site plan.
okay. I
On
didn't see
the SP 101 sheet. And they're the ones that are hatched.
Okay.
Do you see the SB 101? It's on the bottom corner, your right-hand bottom corner is where your code is.
And then the sidewalks are listed as the staggered lines?
They're the lines that are hatched. They're kind of gray.
Do you want to come over and just point it?
Oh, I see
out
'em.
to
I see 'em.
Real quick? Okay.
That gray line surrounds it?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
These are very preliminary drawings.
Sure.
We have the building under contract.
Okay.
And we had been working with the owner to get through approvals, and different things going on with the city has caused delays. And so this is really my last chance to, get a
So what-
comment on it and find out. if
So
we
what
can
were
do
those
this.
things which were causing delay, in summary?
Building inspector.
We had gotten verbal approval early on from the building inspector and the fire marshal, so we could get, emergency vehicle through the site, even though we don't have a road through the site, where we would have compacted ground on either side of that sidewalk so that a fire vehicle or an emergency vehicle could get in. And so I had worked with them, and then we changed, and then had been working with the city planner on our preliminary things, and then there was a change.
So
While this is not within our scope, it's curious, since we're on that subject, is the fire marshal requiring sprinklering?
No, the buildings are made of concrete block and concrete tension cable slabs between floor and ceilings. So we have a 1-hour fire rating on all 4 planes of the building. We have it on the floor, all walls except for the front wall, and the ceiling and floor that separates them, including at the roof level for like the space into the attic. That also has a concrete deck on it for 2/3 of the building. And then the part that doesn't, we're going to come in and bring that to deck to meet the fire code.
2 follow-ups. Number one, you said you're working with the state. I didn't see anything here on these, and maybe I'm just not seeing it right,
I don't,
which is about the roundabout. So I'm assuming from looking at these that the state highway construction is not going to be doing any taking of this property?
they have 2 plans, and I don't know which one they have finally decided on.
Well, that's important.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. And one plan is only taking in the right-of-way area, and the other plan kind of shifts it away from us a little bit. So one plan wouldn't affect us
But
at
if we're
all, and
start-
the other one affects us very minorly.
So if they're starting construction in, what'd you say?
September.
September? Okay, all right, it's 9 months away. All right, I got you.
Well, we'll start construction just as soon as we can get permits. Well, as soon as we purchase the property and get permitted, then we can start construction on Building 3, and that would be the 2-story building that's in the center of the property, the existing, and we're upgrading the electric and some of the windows so they actually open and close, because right now they're stationary windows, and it's good to have fresh air, you know? And then we're also adding kitchens, not just kitchenettes. We're going to have the offering of both. We think it's important that people can allowed and are able to cook at home, because that's quite a bit of savings.
A final follow-up, and again, somewhat out of the scope of planning, but it does go to my thinking about expediting the decision, and that is, have you done any environmental study, not a phase 1, but have you done any environmental for mold and asbestos and so forth in the
Yes.
in the properties? And what did you
Yes.
find?
We do not have any. The building was built in '82, and so that does not have any of those issues. And then for the 1-story portion, which is an L building, and we're calling that Building 2, it's a single-story building, those possibly could. We've had it inspected for mold because there had been a flood, and there's some black spots on the walls, but we found that that was mildew and not mold. And as far as the asbestos, we believe that there is some possibly that are wrapping pipes in between the ceiling level and the floor level in the lobby building. And we'll be removing all of that anyway. And so we'll be getting a bid through Hazmat to have that removed properly.
Go ahead.
On your PUD application, on the 7 units you're going to build new, we got this addendum that you added to it, but under the PUD rules, it says the dimensions and location of proposed structures, and you have the structures here, but they don't have the dimensions on them.
Correct.
So that's,
Cassie let me know yesterday that
Okay.
that was a comment that y'all would have. We're just not far enough through, and that's not exactly the location of where they would be. I do have a square footage listed on there so that you would know the sizes of them. We're working with our trees because we had a person come in and look at the trees right after the tornadoes that hit Memorial Weekend, I believe. And he said that our trees had a lot of fungus in them and that we needed to get rid of them all. And
Well-
I was like, no way, because it's the trees that make this site so beautiful. And so we've asked an independent person if we do get this purchased, we have an independent person that's an arborist out of Fayetteville to come in and give us a non-biased opinion, because we don't want to take any trees down unless it's a requirement.
You do understand you'll have to have a, tree removal
Yes, I do.
application? Okay, you mentioned that in here, but I didn't know if you knew you had to, even though you identify some trees in here, I didn't know if you need to go through the application process.
Yes,
Okay.
and the survey, I did have them locate all trees. So all existing trees are shown on the survey.
Well, but that's not a tree application.
No, I'm
Okay,
not
yeah, you're just
filing the
showing- you're not
application
talking-
yet
I'm not
because
talking
we
about
don't
taking
know.
anything down, you're saying what's there already.
Pardon?
Are you going to take some trees down at some point,
She
maybe?
doesn't know yet.
We don't know yet.
Okay,
Like our
okay,
parking could change. Right now, we've worked our islands for our parking around where the trees are so that we can preserve them. And if we get in there and we find we do have a tree that's a hazard, because we do have 2 trees that look like our insurance may require us to take them out because of their age and the way they're falling apart. They're dropping large limbs already, one of them for sure.
Okay,
And so we'll definitely apply for the trees.
okay, yeah.
Okay, Fergie, go ahead.
I'm sorry. No.
Yeah, there is one tree down at the present.
there
Is
is.
that the current owner's responsibility, or are they going to defer that to you guys?
It's not for me to say. I
Okay.
don't own the property.
Okay. Then the other thing is, have you talked to your neighbor, the convenience store that's next to you? Have you had any discussion with?
I have not.
Okay, that may be something
They
that.
haven't purchased yet.
Right. Well, I understand. I just that's one of the things that
There is intention to, because we would like to make a sidewalk that goes by the garage building that's to the back. That'll be a community building. We would like to put a sidewalk over to connect so that people don't have to come back out on the road to cross over. They could cross over at the side. We find that with the variety of things that shop offers, that it could be very beneficial to those living in the community. So we want to be able to give them a lighted walkway to get there.
Right. Okay, that's all. I just tell you that. And also, there's a lot of traffic that goes into that gas station lot. You may want to think about some kind of privacy wall.
David?
Well, we're trying to keep as much as the hedge and the greenery as possible.
Right.
We're looking at different types of live fence. Live fence is done through vegetation
Okay.
rather than to have a built
A wall.
fence.
I got you. Okay.
Is this the plan to turn this into HUD housing?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
David, did you have a question?
I think I covered it by review. I mean, it's phase 1 and phase 2, so it is your intention to renovate and, I'll call it, convert the existing motel properties first before you do the new construction? Or is
Correct.
that all simultaneous?
Correct. We would like to bring up the existing properties into today's code standards and requirements. Our Building 3 is code compliant for short or long-term rental, as long as we do the fire rating at the deck. And we do have that in our scope of work to do.
Does anyone else have any questions?
I have a question that maybe someone could help with. I understood from being here off and on for the past 2 years and exploring your town at all different hours of the day to see who's hanging out on the streets and what's going on. I found that there is water that is draining onto the street that is Huntsville from someplace along that retaining wall area. And I've had comments from Jacob that he thought it was coming from our property someplace, but it could be coming from the city. And he said that when the water came out, that it was freezing and causing quite a hazard there. So if anybody has any knowledge of, if it's us or if it's city, so it could help us to start our exploration.
The only suggestion I might have is if you are able, not right now, it's freezing or soon, to turn off your water supply and see if that eliminates the water runoff. Then it would show that it's not on your property, it would back it up.
And see, the water has been shut off to there.
Have you
This,
contacted Public Works?
I have, Simon,
It's on 62 or 23?
It's on 23, it sounds like.
23
Huntsville Road.
23 is
Huntsville
Huntsville.
Road.
Okay.
Yeah. So you've talked to Simon, so they're aware of it. Obviously, if you purchase the property, when that's all finalized, because you haven't purchased yet, right?
We intend on fixing that. I'm just trying
Right.
to find out if anybody has any knowledge of it
Yeah.
already, since it was
Yeah, the only
Jacob.
thing I could tell you is that the property that's across the street had a leak there, and the street just fixed that about a month ago. So I'm sure if Simon, 'cause that's what Simon's goal is, to reduce the leak. So I'm sure that if you remind him about that leak, then they'll get a team out there. They've been responding pretty quick to water leak requests. So,
Okay.
So yeah, if you got especially if it's coming out on the road there, it could very well be a feed going.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not paying for it right now, but when you do purchase,
Right, it could even
you
be
don't
a
want
drain.
to have to
Right.
pay for
But,
water running
like,
down the road.
I haven't seen any water coming out on the street for this past 7 months. But I know that back in the winter, when we had that hard freeze and I accidentally stayed overnight here and had a fun drive home,
Yeah, yeah,
that there was water on the street then.
Yeah.
But we hadn't had enough rain to do it, so it should have been coming from somewhere.
Is there more than one meter that serves that property? And do you know location of the meters?
For the water, there's only one.
And have you run a pressure test and a camera from the meter to the buildings?
No,
Okay.
not yet.
Well,
Well, you
don't
spent a
We
lot of
do-
money so far. It's clear. I can just tell you after 40 years of commercial real estate analysis, do not be cheap. Run a pressure test and a camera.
Oh, we are.
All the way down that
because
supply, all the way
we
down
know
that supply line.
Correct, thank you. We know that the sewer is in horrible condition and the water lines coming into the L building and that lobby, the 2-story lobby building. So our intentions is to replace that.
I just have a couple of questions. Have you ever done a project like this before?
I have, but for somebody else, not for myself.
Okay. Okay. All right, so we had a motion and a second to go ahead and postpone this because we felt like we needed more answers
Pending a site visit?
pending a site visit. So
It'd have to be in January.
let's go ahead and vote on that.
Can we do it within the next few days? I wasn't aware that you needed more time to plan a site visit prior to this.
If we did a site visit, we'd need to come back for the next meeting to approve this based on the information.
No, we can do a
received.
special meeting.
We could do a special.
Okay.
We can do a special meeting if we want to. I just don't know if everybody's going to be available within the next day or two.
I'll do it. It's up to you guys. I'll do it tomorrow. I don't matter.
Yeah,
I'm okay.
Free tomorrow. Yeah.
This next week or two before the 26th.
Okay, do you have like a deadline of something that would prevent you or that would cause you an issue if a site visit was scheduled for next week?
I've had the project this under contract for quite some time, and I've been paying the owner monthly to tolerate and wait for us to get through entitlements because I need the entitlements to close. And so he's been very patient, and he would really like to be paid this month before the end of the year.
Okay, so you're saying that it would cause you an issue if we had a special meeting next week? We
No.
just have to,
No, if we could do it next week, that would be wonderful.
Okay,
Next
so-
month would be, into 25 would be an issue.
okay, all right. So I only say that because if we meet here, we have to make sure that the space is available and we have to run it through, City Hall and all of that. So,
There has to be a certain amount of time for public notice.
yes, so that the public knows about it. So is it 72 hours?
I believe it's 48. but
48
I can check
hours?
with Kim tomorrow.
Okay, so that's what we'd have to find out. If everybody's going to be around next week, then
I'll
we could do a
make
special
sure
meeting.
I can
So-
do it.
Okay,
Sonia, I'd be flexible, whatever you need. I'd make the applicant is Sonia Horn. So one of the things I might would be concerned about or want to look at is that if the exact entity on which this is being granted is not exactly Sonia Horn, then I would ask you to supplement the application with the entity that's going to be granted this for that purpose.
Okay.
And I would not be in favor of being assignable. One of the things here, we want all to see that corner cleaned up. And no question about that.
And
right?
it
Thumbs up.
is-
And God bless you for going as far as you've gone. But
It's been a
what we
lot of
don't want to
work.
have, what we don't want to have, you can't control everything, but we certainly would want to mitigate the negative impact of going through the process of approving an unprecedented project like this, and then it go from one party to another party, and there might be some value created in this. It's your project or it's somebody else's. So if it's somebody else's, we'd like to know that.
It is mine. I will be living there if I get this done until death.
Yeah.
This is my retirement.
All right, we've got a motion and we've got a second to go ahead and postpone. It sounds like we're in favor of doing a special meeting probably next week. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so this was a postponement so we could do a special meeting and so that we could schedule a site visit. I'm assuming we'll do the site visit prior to the meeting, so they won't be at crazy times or whatever. So, but Cassie,
Maybe we could schedule the site visit right before the meeting.
right, that's what I'm saying. If we could make them real
That's it.
close to each other.
Yeah.
If at all possible, that's what I will do.
Yeah.
We'll see the availability of this room, but if at all possible.
Then we don't have to come back twice.
Right.
Right.
That's
So
good.
then just when you find out what days and time and all of that, just email everybody to see if that works.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so.
And am I allowed to come to that, or is that a closed meeting?
Oh, no, we want you to.
Yeah.
sign.
Okay,
Absolutely.
okay.
Yeah.
I
So-
would like to.
So we're not going to
Yeah, yes,
approve
please.
anything tonight, but Cassie will be in touch as far as what day that site visit will be and what day we'll do the special meeting. But our hope is that we'll be able to do it next week.
And just so everyone knows for availability, I will be trying to schedule the site visit before sunset, since the sunset's at 5.
Yes,
I just want
it is
everyone to
earlier.
have some afternoon availability.
Yep, okay. All right,
Fair
so
enough.
that's it for today.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Sonia.
Good deal.
Okay, so we're going to move into commission business. And you want to give just a quick rundown on the B&B update or on the ordinance?
Well, it's passed. We were able to get last night that bed and breakfast must advertise as bed and breakfast. I believe it goes into effect in 90 days. Thank everybody for their help. I was actually pleasantly surprised that it moved through city council
Yeah.
as quickly as it did.
Yeah.
So I'd like to feel that we have really covered the basis with the bed and breakfast and clarifying when a unit is and doing some things that might make it easier for everybody. And so, yeah, it's a done deal.
So if you want the ordinance number, it's 2364. That's what they passed last night. I'm sure there'll be some information in probably the newspaper or whatever, but typically what we say, if you want a copy of it, will you just put it on your info as a ticker so that we can all get a copy of that when it's finalized?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Maybe
I'd like to
next
see
meeting?
a copy. And I apologize for being remiss, not knowing that was, I usually watch the city council meetings, but I didn't. But I have two questions.
Here.
One, I'm just curious, and maybe it was a prior planning commission meeting. Was the construction and wording of that ordinance specifically, was that a recommended product that came out of the planning commission?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I must have missed that. Okay.
And I will
Maybe
be
it predated
happy
me.
to give, this is the draft they approved. The only thing that is not in here is what they added last night about you have to advertise as a bed and breakfast.
Okay.
So when Cassie sends it out, that will have that in there. Just pass that around to him, since he didn't get a copy, and you just keep that.
And so my second question would be, so now that this ordinance is in place, and since it seems there's a number of people that get show cause hearings about this topic, would it be reasonable to assume that there'll be more show cause hearings for people who have advertising out there which does not state bed and breakfast.
My hope is that right before this goes into effect, that we send a letter to the bed and breakfast with the ordinance that this is going to go into effect this date, and it can affect your revocation if you do not do it.
So if we see somebody with a billboard that they've already paid to put up, right, and it does not say bed and breakfast,
They'll have to change it.
they'll have to change it.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm sorry I was not a part of voting on the construction of that ordinance.
It was a long process.
I'm sure it was. Yeah.
Yeah. One of
Okay,
the
Andy, do
things-
you have anything else on that?
Yeah, so one of the things that I liked about the way we've now done that bed and breakfast is that since I uncovered an ordinance actually called bait and switch, will actually be protecting those licensees that actually have those from any potential lawsuits if somebody felt they were dissatisfied and were sold a bill of goods because they wanted a bed and breakfast, but they were given a tourist lodge, you know what I'm saying? So I think we're protecting our clients by actually specifying that, yes, you are a bed and breakfast.
Well, I also think we're protecting our neighborhoods
Yeah.
because we had the workshops. I mean, our residents made it really clear they don't want any more.
Right.
And when you don't advertise as a bed and breakfast, when you have an outside entry, people come and go, it is a tourist lodging. And these are in residential neighborhoods.
Yep.
So, I mean, I think we all understand we had people that, once we got rid of tourist lodging, the only way they could do it was to become a B&B. And hopefully they'll all get on board and we'll just see what happens.
Well, I totally agree with the Planning Commission's right and role and responsibility to define those things. But we should not be in the business of regulating pieces of advertising. If we have material reasons to believe that they are, and this is in a retrospect and after the fact, I understand, but if we believe we have facts that they are not acting within that ordinance, but regulating the way people advertise is not good business, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Anyone else? Okay.
nonetheless, it is what it is.
Any questions about that particular item? Okay, so area development workshop discussion.
Can I make a motion? I move that we delay the area workshop discussion until the next meeting. We've covered a lot tonight, and we have a lot of stuff pending, and it is close to holidays, and I think this would be a good thing to start off with the new year.
I really didn't want to do a discussion. I just wanted to basically agree that how many workshops do we want to have?
Oh, okay.
And get Cassie to figure out some dates for us. So I don't want to go into it too much either. So is that okay?
Sure.
Okay, so really on number 2, the area development workshop discussion, we know we need to have some workshops. So how many workshops do you all think that you would feel comfortable with? I know with the B&B thing, we did 2?
I don't know that we could answer that question right.
Okay,
I mean, I
how many
think we
do you
should
want to
have
start
one.
out with?
One at least, and then let's see what we get accomplished, what we find out, what the process is. I think then we'll have a better idea how many we need to have, because this is something we've never done before.
Okay, all right. I mean, I just thought maybe we should set a couple dates for the first 2.
I'm okay with doing that, absolutely.
And then that way they'd be on the calendar, we could all
Sure.
plan for it, we'd know it was happening. So
And also, I
is
think-
that okay if we do it, we kind of establish at least 2 workshops to begin with? Okay, so are you guys, are you more comfortable having the workshop prior to the meeting?
I'd rather do that.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
it'll be
Yeah.
before the meeting. And let's say, are you okay with doing a workshop in January, or would you rather wait until February, March?
I would like to have the initial one in January.
Yeah, yeah.
We need to see who the stakeholders are that we need to include in the next meeting and how many participants.
Okay, so let's say the first one's going to be held in January. We'll schedule another one for February. But at least we'll have 2 on the books. And Cassie, if you can work out
Yeah.
all of that. Are you good with an hour, or do you want more than an hour?
Let's start with an hour.
Okay, so 5 o'clock? Yep. Prior to the 6 o'clock. Okay. All right, so that's that. Approval of the minutes from November 12th.
Yeah.
Motion to approve the minutes from November 12th.
Second?
All right, we've got a motion and a second to approve the minutes from our November 12th meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, minutes approved. agenda setting for our January 14th regular meeting. So we have to do officers. I know I mentioned it before. If we've got, I know you're vice chair, I know Ann's been chair before, obviously I've been chair. We do need to pick a new chair because the chair can only be the chair for 2 years running. So it's been 2 years, we need to pick one. So if anybody is super excited about being chair,
Can we nominate somebody?
we will do this in January. But, and then of course we have vice chair and we have secretary position. So Tom's secretary,
He's doing a great job.
Fergie's
I like being
vice chair. Just kind of keep that in your mind as to what you're thinking there. So we'll do that for our next meeting. And then, what else do we have on our, go ahead, Tom.
The application we have for the tree removal is based on the old ordinance. We need to modify that and update that. I don't know
Okay.
whether you want to have that as a, do we have to discuss that, or can we just
No,
tell
that's good.
Cassie what we need to do, or?
We should probably just do it as discussion on the next meeting.
Just
So if we're going to do, let's
just
see.
say update tree removal application.
Okay, and then there was something else that you had on the last, that you wanted to do at the beginning of the year, which was lot size.
Yeah, you wanted to
Right,
talk about
lot
the
size.
lot
We were
size.
talking
Remember?
about adjusting the
For new
standard lot
Oh, yeah,
construction.
yeah, just discuss, yeah.
Do you want to add that to January?
Yeah, because I'm not sure what, it may take, a while to figure out what we're going to do on that, but
Yeah, yeah. And like the lots are getting smaller because we're running out of space.
Yeah.
Unless we
Okay.
expand the size. Add some new streets. That's it.
Okay, so we've got those 3 items on there right now. What we've done in the past is we've always done a wish list or things that we want to get on the agenda. So obviously, we've got a couple here. Now that we've got the B&B thing kind of done, I know at one time you talked about
It's tourist lodging next.
working on tourist lodging. Do you want that on the agenda, or do you want to talk about it next meeting?
We can put it on the agenda because make sure we're all on the same page of where we're going with this.
Yeah.
Okay, obviously, we're going to have the area development plan on there as well.
Yeah, area right.
If anybody else thinks of anything that they think it is important, obviously, we've got quite a bit on our plate with a couple things already. I hate to say it's for the year, but we only meet once a month,
Right.
and it seems like all of these processes are slow.
Yeah.
So, let's see. Mike, you wanted to go first on, oh, wait. Yeah. Mike, you go first on comments.
Did we approve the minutes from last month?
We did.
Okay.
We did approve the minutes, didn't we?
We did,
Okay.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay, all right. Anyway, I'm not leaving you. You guys aren't getting rid of me. I've decided not to take the position at the city council.
Oh,
That's a-
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I just want to focus on this. I'm starting to get a little more experience with this. I'm getting more experience with the folks here that have specialty issues that can really give me some information to help me do this job better. And I have a lot of things going on in Eureka. I'm still having my holiday vacation here. I'm on a 2 or 3 year retirement party so far, and I'm not done yet. And they've got some serious issues that I just would rather not. I want to be a little selfish. I'm still having a blast here in Eureka. This is enough responsibility for me, and I can work with this and take it seriously without trying to expand my involvement in community issues in that capacity. And I just
true.
I
Very
want to
good.
stay here, so if you guys don't want to kick me off,
good.
I'll stick around.
Well, you're a treasure man, so.
That's it. Good stuff. Good stuff.
I'm sure you thought it through.
Okay.
Good stuff.
Berg?
Well, the only thing, we had a great Christmas parade. We had some really, a lot of entries. So we have a lot of active village people here in Eureka Springs, and they showed up and they were there, and we had a great time. A lot of visitors for Christmas parade. And the one thing I want, recently we had an issue, and this is the season of people being nice to each other. But we had an incident recently at the city council that reminded me that some people aren't being nice. And so I ask that we all look at each other and this Christmas season, let's just be nice. Let's do that.
Okay.
David?
I just wanted to put out there, not for maybe January and February because it's packed, but maybe around March, if we invite the CAPC director in for a presentation, because especially as we're thinking about planning for growth and making other decisions about uses, we need to take into account what the customers are saying, right, which should be central to planning going forward. And many of those customers are also going to be new residents, new businesses. We all have been here visiting, and then we fell in love with the place, and then we moved here, bought a business or whatever. So I don't want to do it now, but I think from time to time, we need to find out what the facts are that the CAPC is saying, right? Of the people that are coming in here, where they're coming from, what they're wanting, what they're needing and spending. So I just think it's not a monthly type of thing, but occasionally I think we should invite them in just to give their sense, right, of what people are saying about Eureka, who's coming here and moving here. And
So bring that on your wish list.
Huh?
We can bring that on your wish list.
I will.
And we'll figure out how or what we call that.
Because they're doing a great job of collecting data now and disseminating that data, maybe better than before.
Yeah.
And nobody was a bigger critic of what happened in the past than me, but I like what I'm seeing
Okay,
in many ways. And
Cass?
from data collection, that's what I'm talking
right.
about. All right.
Cassie, do you have anything?
Thank you all for being here.
Short and sweet. Tom?
No comment.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
And I do not have anything either. So I think we're done.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Can I ask a question?
Motion and a second to,
Could I ask a question?
sure.
You had a concern about, like, if it was to ever sell? And
No,
go
no, no,
to
no, no,
another
no, no.
owner?
No. It was just a matter of, you're going to grant a PUD, is that about creating value, intrinsic value for the property, which you then intend to assign or sell before you close? In other words,
No,
that's what I
we
really-
do not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we, PUDs typically will self-zone, and so you will designate what can be where, and that is a law of it from the time of development until you guys would make a change to it.
I know it runs with the property.
Okay.
Yeah, the real issue is that about the financial wherewithal and ability to close it, because we're approving this a lot, I mean, not approving this, looking at a lot because of you and what your vision and what you want to do. We're all, especially an unprecedented thing. So we kind of just want to know, just kind of want to be comfortable. You're going to see it through, take it through. There's no guarantees. It does run with the land. I understand that.
Would it be helpful to you guys to have examples of other communities like this
Absolutely.
I don't,
and how they
I don't think-
finished?
I mean, we've got that extended stay place now down the street.
yeah, I don't think so.
haven't got any
I think,
data from it.
you know,
Have you done one of these before?
Similar, yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
Could you just-
everyone's different because it depends upon
You
terrain.
just send that
and
info to
road.
Cassie and she could send it to us and we can look it up.
Sure.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right,
Okay,
we've got a
thank you.
motion and a second to adjourn.
Who seconded?
All those in, pardon?
Who seconded? Mike?
Mike.
Okay.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.